At this time, I'd like to call to order the November 4th regular scheduled meeting of the Davie County Board of Education. And first on the meeting order is adopting the agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda? Have a motion by Mr. Drexler. Do I have a second? Have a second by Ms. Horn. All in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Moving on. Next, I will call for a motion to go in closed session. A motion to go in closed session to preserve the attorney-client privilege pursuant to the North Carolina General Statutes listed on our agenda to discuss personnel matters protected by state law and to discuss student matters made confidential by general statutes and FERPA. Do I have a motion? I have a motion by Ms. Owens. I have a second by Mr. Drexler. All in favor? Motion carries 7-0. We're now in closed session. All right, thank you. At this time, we will reconvene the November 4th, 2014 regular meeting of the Davie County Board of Education. If you would, please, first of all, I'd like to make a couple comments. We, as we have our invocation tonight, we have had some losses as of late and over the last few months. But remember, if you would, the Riddle family and the Totoro family, and also the Meadows family. Mr. Meadows passed away some time back, but please remember those folks. If you would, please bow with me. As we gather this evening, I express thanks for this day and all of its blessings. I ask this board to be mindful of the business we are about to undertake. We're thankful for everyone in attendance tonight. Further, we are thankful for the opportunity to govern and the freedoms we enjoy. We pause to remember the students, faculty members, and families in our system and community who are facing challenges. Our positive thoughts are with them. As always, we seek wisdom to make the best decisions for the students and citizens of Davie County. Amen. At this time, if you would, rise with me as we say the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. It's good to see everybody tonight. At this time, we're moving on to approval of minutes from our special called meeting from from September the 11th and a regular scheduled meeting of October the 7th of this year. Do we have a motion to approve? We have a motion from Mr. Drexler to approve those minutes. Do I have a second? I have a second by Ms. Owens. All in favor? Motion carries 7-0. At this time, we're moving on to important dates. And I will point out a few. The Board of Education will have lunch at Davie High on November the 13th. We always look forward to that. That's a good time getting out in the schools and touring the schools. We have a Stars of the Year banquet that night at 6 p.m. Also on November the 15th, 2 o'clock, middle school bands, Davie County concert at Brock Performing Arts Center. That's always very enjoyable. Then we have 17th through the 19th, we have an annual conference of the North Carolina School Board Association. And then our meeting will be back here at 6 p.m. on December the 2nd, Tuesday, December the 2nd. And at this point, I'll turn it over to the superintendent for his remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everyone. It's good to see everyone out tonight. As Mr. Chairman had mentioned in his opening remarks before the invocation, we do want to remember the Riddle family. We lost Kathy Riddle last night. Kathy is has served Davie County Schools for 24 years at Coolamy Elementary and most recently as an assistant at South Davie Middle School. So we want to keep that family in our thoughts and prayers. October was also a difficult month with the tragic passing of Miss Lynn Tutterow. We've extended condolences to that family as well. And I want to thank our student services staff, and I want to thank the staff who have embraced each other and our students through both of these difficult times. Also, ministers from local churches who came out to support our staff and students. We appreciate that. And the partnership, it's wonderful to see a community embrace and support our school system the way they do. So we want to thank them for that. I want to thank each of you board members, too, for attending the lunch that we had with the chairman of the State Board of Education, Bill Kobe. We had a nice lunch event with our principals and several of you. It was a good chance to get to know Mr. Kobe. And before our lunch, Mr. Kobe, Chairman Fuller, and our new county manager, Mike Ruffin, and I visited several of our schools, Pine Brook, South Davie Middle, and Davie High School. It was good for the chairman of the state board to see what was happening in our schools, as well as our new county manager. So it was a good visit, and we appreciate your support with that. I also want to thank those of you who were able to come out to the Ashley Furniture opening event, the ribbon cutting. It was quite an event. It was also great to see our Davie County High School marching band as a guest there and playing before that event, before they went off to a football game on Friday night. What was originally announced as 500 jobs is now 650 plus jobs, with 800 by the end of the year. So our community is very blessed with Ashley being here. And the most recent announcements with Dunlop Aviation Manufacturing coming our way as well. So Davie County is a light in the Piedmont right now and on a very good path, and we're fortunate to be here. Lastly, I have put at your desk a letter that went out to our K-5 teachers and principals. A week or two ago, we notified our K-5 principals and teachers that we have a new schedule for monitoring student performance in the early grades. With the assessment tools that are provided by our state, our teachers and the principals had provided some feedback to us that we were assessing according to the state guidelines and the state schedule. We're assessing way too often, and they did not have enough time for instruction in classrooms. So we have modified that schedule and created our own schedule with that, and hopefully that will give our teachers more time for instruction and will result in better results at the early grades. So we've taken some flexibility that we have there and hopefully made the best of that. So I wanted to share that with you in case you had heard about that. And Mr. Chairman, that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Hartness. At this time, we're moving on to the architect's report, the facilities report on the new Davie County High School. And I will ask Clark Pierce and Wesley Curtis to come to the podium.
Good evening, Chairman Fuller and board members and Dr. Hartness. We're happy to be here again this month to give you an update on the status of your new high school. If you've been out by the site, I think you'll see that things are moving along fairly rapidly. We've had pretty good weather, and I have the Honorable Mr. Gray over here. He'll speak in more detail of that a little later on in our talk. If I can get this thing. It's not advancing. There we go. So here's, for those of you who may not have remembered, this is what it's going to look like. Just as a brief update of where we've been over the last 30 days, we've been finalizing the design development documents. We've continued to meet with staff. We met with staff for probably 3 hours this morning, just going over design development documents. Those documents have been submitted to the owner, to facility staff, and the superintendent for their ongoing review. Seems like something comes up every day that's a little different, and we incorporate that in the plans as it's brought to our attention. We're in the process of developing an estimate. The estimator has the documents for the project. It's a very complicated project. It's usually about a 2-week process to go through something this complicated, then we'll review that in-house and then get with the superintendent and his staff, review that with them in more detail after we've had our first pass with it. Of course, the erosion control measures are being installed, trees are cleared. We were out there today and it's moving along nicely. I think they're now, that the temporary fence is up over on the other side of the creek, starting to do a little clearing, but most of the main site's been cleared. Probably a little further along than 25%. John can speak to that. This is a little bit of what you missed last meeting, and I'm not going to bore you with it, but you've seen the plans. The plans are getting a lot more information on them in terms of references about where to find more information, larger scale, detailed section cuts, wall sections of how the building is put together, that sort of thing. This is just an enlarged plan area, primarily looking at the auditorium and the art classrooms over to the right. Just some elevations, not quite as glamorous as what you would see in a presentation format, but more in the format and detail that a contractor needs to understand what he's going to build. Wall sections of various elements of the building. I don't know exactly where these are, but I don't know how many sheets, Wesley, probably 15 sheets or so just of nothing but wall sections of how it goes together. Moving forward, we are continuing with John to look after what's going on at the site. The DD estimate, as mentioned, will be finalized here in the next week or two and gone over with staff. We have to go down to Raleigh and meet with DPI, go over their review. The Department of Insurance normally reviews these things. They've seen it at schematic design. Doesn't mean much to them to see it at design development, because the comments they're going to make at design development phase are going to be, for the most part, the type of comments that they would make at construction documents. So we'll just end up answering a lot of questions of review that we don't have the information there, but we know it has to be there in the end. And we got pretty much a boilerplate letter from them at schematic design submittal that just went through 25 or 30 comments of things that we know have to be in the final documents, but in the early phases just are never there. So we'll continue to refine that, and at the end of construction document phase, we will visit with those folks, get their comments, along with another chat with the DPI. We'll submit the kitchen drawings to the environmental health folks so that they can see if there's anything that they need to comment on. Of course, the local building inspector, as well as the local health inspector and the fire marshal. Schedule, like we're moving ahead with that. We're on schedule right now with the overall process. Our expectation is still to be ready to release for bids sometime in mid-February of next year. And with that, Mr. Gray is going to come forward. He can speak a little bit more about exactly what's going on at the site.
The contractor has made significant progress. The notice to proceed was dated September the 15th. And since then, the erosion control has been placed. A great deal of grading has taken place. There is approximately a week of rain days that he has had to endure, whether it's either rained or been too wet to work. But at this point, he seems to be somewhat ahead of schedule. With respect to where he's working, I guess I have a pointer up here, but on that drawing, he's working to install the structural fill that the building will be founded upon. Working with him as an inspector from the group retained to look after the project, S&ME, so there's no dirt moved unless it's moved under inspection. So all of that dirt is being placed to very, very strict criteria so that it will support the structural loads the building will place on it. Contractor has a responsibility to get that first and to finish it by December the 15th. At this moment today, he's ahead of schedule. Now, we don't know how that's going to hold up because we don't know what the weather's going to be like. But right now, today, he's been working very hard, occasionally Saturday and Sunday when he has to, and he has made the best use of the good weather that he could possibly make. And so we had some aerial photographs made, and on the October the 8th, we can see, looking at this photograph, there's the little entrance that we parked on during the groundbreaking. And we can see there's a field there, there's trees around it. And the contractor has begun moving some dirt up into the right-hand portion of the picture. What he's doing there is he's checking and testing the dirt, and he's moving some of the dirt out of the erosion and sediment control basins. That's on October the 8th. Other pictures, as you look around, the site seems relatively undisturbed. Some of the trees have come down in the area, and it still kind of looks like a farm field. Again, another angle as the plane has gone around where you can see the middle school in the background. You can see the trees and the wetlands between the high school site and the middle school. Again, this is another view where we're able to look all the way across Farmington Road and toward the quarry. And then again, another view from the 8th where we can see that the contractor has begun to work his material and is starting to move material on the 8th. I'll flip on. This is actually a good shot looking north from the middle school area where we can see the contractor has begun to organize his work site. Some of the trees are down. And, we can see where his equipment's moving. And this is looking at the entrance. Now, that entrance, where that gravel is and where we see that machinery there along the roadway, will be our bus entrance later on. So that's being graded and will be the entrance for the buses. And that is an entrance that either that one or another one will be an entrance that will be a construction entrance for the new high school. So if this contractor is not finished, for instance, around that knoll, we may move the construction entrance for the new high school, but that's the current plan, to have it there. So we had it flown, the good graces of Bob Sinclair, on the 8th, and then 21 days later. So if you look and you see the differences then on the 29th, where you can begin to see material has been moved around. You begin to see that more filling has been done. You can see the trees are down as they had to come down to support the parking lots and to support the structures and the site facilities. Again, from this angle, you can see where the pad is being built up that the school will ultimately bear upon. And again, you can see that in 3 weeks, a tremendous amount of progress has been made. Thousands of yards of material have been moved. There's an area that was a drainage area that was reputed to be, one of the more negative areas. It's been taken away. It's been backfilled with good fill. And it was just a matter of a week or so to take that out and backfill it with structural material. In all, the site has actually proved to be more workable than we had imagined. The contractor has been able to move through with relatively few slowdowns or stoppages except for weather. So Clark and Wesley took a few pictures today. We see that some more trees have been cleared down. There's been a safety fence erected between the middle school and the construction to be sure that we don't have children on the wrong side of the construction. We mentioned to someone who said, yeah, if it was me, I'd probably be there with my nose against the fence as much as I could. So we have a fence they can put their noses on if the teachers allow it. And, but we are removing trees. You can see that more of the site has been cleared as of today. You can see that the site looks very different even since the 29th. So the work will continue. We think that he is, easily going to make his schedule of December the 15th for Phase 1. He's working toward his schedule of January the 15th for Phase 2. As we roll into times when it's a little wetter, it will be a little more difficult for him to stay on schedule. Okay.
Thank you, guys. That's very exciting. We're love seeing progress happen there. Do we have any questions for architect, engineer? All right, thanks again. At this time, we're moving on to recognitions of students and staff, and I will call on Jeff Wallace for the Davie County Schools Principal of the Year.
Chairman Fuller, Board, Dr. Hartness, thank you very much. Would Miss Lynn Mars please step this way? Once again, it's my honor to recognize our Davie County's Principal of the Year. And she has an entire sheet. I had the sheets of her recognitions. I had to write a few notes to the side. She started her career in Davie County in 1984, graduated from Appalachian State in the same year, started as a preschool speech therapist, central office, speech therapist at Moxville Middle, preschool services coordinator at Moxville Middle, earned her master's degree in 2001. Pam, where's Pam? If I'm wrong, you help me out here because Pam helped me with all this. Later on, she preschool services coordinator, as I mentioned, assistant principal at Kernatzer, 2003. She then served as assistant principal at Pine Brook Elementary. Then she was principal, served as a principal at Pine Brook 1 year. Then she moved to Moxville in 2008. 2008, yes?
It's been a long time.
I remember. That was my first year of dropping off my babies here to Moxville, at Moxville Elementary. Lynn has been recognized 2 times as the Davie County Association of Office Professionals Administrator of the Year in 2005-06 and in 2010. In 2011, she was recognized as a hometown hero, and she was also served as Principal of the Year in Davie County in 2011-12. So, and now it is my honor again to recognize Lynn as the 2014-15 Davie County Principal of the Year. And let me, again, I've recognized Lynn a couple times, and I sat down this morning just to think through some things. And a couple things that came to my mind if you visited Moxville Elementary. Moxville is what the world looks like. You've got a little bit of everything. You've got wonderful, great 2-parent homes. Kids walk in and can probably teach the class that they're in. All the way to the kid that moved here from another country 2 days before, maybe illegally, maybe not. You have the kids that carries a backpack home confidentially every weekend because it's full of food. That if it wasn't for people like Lynn and many others in this community that would not receive some decent meals in the summer, over the weekend, and it goes on in the summer. And by the way, she delivers food, her and her family, her husband, deliver food, I think, every Thursday, right? Thursday what? Date night? Okay. Moxville reflects the real world. So, and that's part of the beauty of public education. You get a little bit of everything. But the one thing that makes Moxville a little bit different is this principal right here and her staff, of course. Because one of the things that we all understand is institutions, schools, organizations take on the personality of their leader. And the one thing about, and we kind of laugh, Noel and Dr. Hartness, when we interview assistant principals, we're thinking and we chuckle, we go, okay, let's see if, we go through our typical questioning, but then there's always a question that we don't ask directly. Can this person keep up with Lynn Mars? what's this going to be? I can't wait until this person sees her in action. So, but anyway, the one difference that I will say about Lynn personally is expressed in the way that she conducts herself daily, all the time. Matter of fact, she flagged me down in the middle of the road Saturday morning. My dog and I, literally, Bailey's about to jump out the window over on Cemetery Street, and they had purchased some little cookies for my dog. Now, Bailey and my dog have this thing going on because where we used to drop off the whatever, but the point is, even her family reflects that. I mean, literally, I thought something was wrong. They're all flopping and hanging, and I said, what? But it was just an act of kindness. But that's what those kids get. That's what those kids get from Lynn Mars, and that is truly the difference, a difference maker. And so, yes, her job is to provide a safe learning environment and help teachers do their job. But she goes that one other step, like many of our people do, and she provides them with love. It is my honor to recognize Miss Lynn Mars as our Davie County Principal of the Year.
You know, on behalf of the board, we certainly want to present this certificate of recognition to Lynn, but I'm going to take the liberty just to say a few personal words because I've known her for 20 years.
A long time.
A long time. And she played an important role for me, not only, you know, as a member of the Board of Education, but for me personally as a preschool director when she was involved with our preschool in Davie County schools. The love that she had for children, and then the commitment and the dedication, it was so inspiring to me. And I've said that before, but she knows how much I feel that way. So we're very fortunate to have you. I also know that you would want to acknowledge your family because I look out there and I see the smiles on their faces, and I know that they are so proud of you, and I know how much they have made you what you are too, because I think when I met her, your son was like maybe in kindergarten. And, you know, I know what a family support means, and I can just see the love that they have for you and how proud they are for you. So, again, I congratulate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Ms. Mars. You are truly an asset and a gift to Davie County Schools. At this time, moving on to other recognitions, I will ask Ms. Ginger Emiston to come up from the American Heart Association Hoops for Heart and Fit Friendly Work Sites.
Good evening. I am honored and excited to be here with you tonight. Thank you, Dr. Hartness and board members, for allowing me this opportunity. At the American Heart Association, our goal is to fight heart disease and stroke and to help people live longer, healthier, happier lives. And we have a primary emphasis on our youth. I'm sure you've heard the statistic that this generation of children is expected to have a shorter lifespan than that of their parents, and that is due to poor nutrition, lack of physical activity, and that's what the American Heart Association is focusing on. We want to change that statistic, but we need the help and the support of all of our schools in order to have that avenue to get into the families, to get the information home to the students. And Davie County Schools is an excellent partner and supporter. I'm excited to say that 100% of your elementary and middle schools partner with us through our Jump Rope for Heart and Hoops for Heart programs, and that has a huge impact on our education and the amount of research that we can do. Over $2 million in research funding is being done in Winston-Salem. So the money that your schools are raising is coming right back to our community to find cures, prevention for heart disease and stroke. And I'm excited to be here to present a very special award. In North Carolina, we recognize for outstanding achievement for our schools. And last year, South Davie Middle, Gloria, Dr. Snap, had the highest percentage increase in their Hoops for Heart donations, which is outstanding. Last year, we had 183 schools in North Carolina participate in Hoops for Heart, and South Davie Middle was #1 in increase. So congratulations and thank you so very much for your support. Gloria Chalmers is PE specialist there and has coordinated the Hoops for Heart program for several years. And I don't want to embarrass her, but she is one of the best out-of-the-box thinkers that I work with. She is very creative, always trying to come up with creative ways to get the students involved and participating in our mission. So thank you so much, and thank you, Dr. Snap, for your support. I would also like to recognize Shady Grove Elementary School, and this is a different type of award. The American Heart Association believes in order to have the biggest impact on folks, we need to meet them where they are. So a few years ago, we came up with a fit-friendly worksite program that goes into the worksite and recognizes those employers for having fit-friendly programs for providing exercise, types of physical activity, whether it be walking tracks, the opportunity to exercise, healthy nutrition, healthy snacks, and culture, such as tobacco prevention and those type of things. And last year, Kathy Bocchino, with the support of her principal, Maureen Gilding, applied for fit-friendly status for Shady Grove Elementary, and they received that award this year, so I would like to recognize them. This is a huge achievement. This is national recognition. So thank you and congratulations, Kathy and Maureen. Thank you so much for all of your support. It makes a huge difference and helps to save lives.
I would like to say thank you to both South Davie and to Shady Grove for participating and going that extra mile to see that we are not only trying to educate children for the book learning, but it's also for lifelong learning and healthy lifestyles. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, guys, and thanks for all the hard work. At this time, we're moving on to the high-performance Title I schools, and I would ask Peggy Knuckles to come up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and board members, and staff, and guests. Forgive me for reading, but I want to make sure that I capture the importance of these rewards. So I'm going to read to you a little bit about the Title I reward schools that are being named. North Carolina Department of Public Instruction has announced 78 Title I schools that are recently recognized as Title I reward schools for 2014-15. From these schools, 2 will be selected to represent North Carolina in the National Title I Distinguished Schools Program. A reward school is a Title I school that, based on the most recent data available, has been identified as being among the highest 10% of all Title I schools in 1 or 2 categories: highest performing school and high progress schools. Tonight, the schools we will honor are in the category of the highest performing school. These schools have been chosen because they have the highest absolute performance over a number of years for all subgroups, including the all students group on statewide assessments. Schools were selected for recognition based on assessment data from 2012-13 and 13-14 school years. The top 10% of the 78 reward schools are invited to submit portfolios that identify their best practices that contributed to the school's success. Then members of the Title I Distinguished Schools Advisory Council review the portfolios alongside with on-site visits, and they determine one school in each category to represent the North Carolina in the National Title I Distinguished Schools Program. Title I is the largest federally funded educational programs for schools, and its aim is to help students who are behind academically or at risk for falling behind. School funding is based on the number of low-income children, which is generally those eligible for free and reduced priced lunches. These schools' scores indicate that they are helping the state close the achievement gaps, and we are pleased tonight to honor, in no particular order, Cornatzer Elementary School, under the direction of Dr. Cindy Wren, with many hard-working hours of staff and students, it has become a high-performance school. And our next school is Moxville Elementary School. Under the direction of Lynn Mars and many hard-working hours of staff and students, it has become a high-performance school.
Thank you, and congratulations to Canatzer and Moxville. At this time, we're moving on to our consent agenda, and I will ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda. We have a motion by Ms. Horn. Do we have a second? We have a second by Ms. Livingood. All in favor? Motion carries 7-0. At this time, we're moving on to public address to the board, and I'll turn it over to Ms. Wilson.
Thank you very much, Chairman Fuller. We have one person signed up to address the board today. We welcome you and would ask you to come. When you come to the mic, please state your name and address. And you have 5 minutes. It's very difficult to miss the timer that is largely in front of you for those 5 minutes. So we welcome Ron Keister and look forward to hearing from you.
Good evening. My name is Ron Keister. I live here in Moxville. I hope my voice holds up. 2 weeks ago, I visited my granddaughter, 2 years old. She gave me a cold. I'm going back this weekend to get a booster shot. Okay. I've been a member of a concerned citizens group in Moxville since about 2009, with a major concern about the lack of some financial transparency, some financial information, so that we as citizens know something about what's going on with our tax dollars. Since 2009, I've been trying to obtain some detailed expenditure information from the Board of Education. The reason for that is I've been getting from the Department of DPI their expenditure details on an excuse me, a code called object code, which kind of describes where money is being spent. And I wanted to verify that information before I used it for anything. And I was trying to get some information from DCS to verify that. What I wanted to do with it is just take a look at it and see where money is spent. Both the state, which is now required to be explained every October the 15th. I wish they had put in federal and the local, because when I looked at 2014, the report that Davie County has was only 66% of the total expenditure. So I didn't know what the rest of the expenditures were for. But I did get this from DPI, but it's on a cash basis, and I don't know how accurate that is compared to the accrual basis, which is in the audit report. One of the things I would like to see happen in Davie County is they do this October the 15th report and expand it to include federal spending and local spending, so we can see how much is totally spent under the object codes, which are very descriptive to me. And one of the things that I am going to request is that the Board of Education and Dr. Hartness provide this information for us. And I'm going to do that by sending out some information in a letter to the editor to show you the kind of information I found. It's cash basis information because I don't have the accrual basis from DCS. And I thank you for letting me speak here. And if I may, I'd like to give Chairman Fuller some of the information that I have.
That'll be fine, thank you. And that concludes our speakers today.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Wilson. At this time, we're moving on to committee and staff reports. And first up, I will ask Ms. Bacchino to come up and speak to us about school health.
Good evening, Chairman Fuller, school board members, Dr. Hartness. I just wanted to take a couple minutes to talk about Davie County Schools and Ebola. I don't know if you've seen the paper, Forsyth County Schools started asking new staff members and new students questions about travel in Africa and being exposed to anyone with Ebola. Here in Davie County Schools, I've been going to the health department every Friday for conference calls that they've been having with the state North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services. There's 300 to 400 practitioners on all these calls from health departments, hospitals, doctors' offices. So I'm getting all the information, working closely with our health department. You know, our school system and our health department have a very close working relationship. We're very fortunate. So we know what's happening in our state. DPI has been on all these conference calls as well. And just wanted to make you aware that we're being upfront, you know, ahead of the curve here and paying attention to what's happening. If they tell us to do things differently, if we hear from the health department or DPI that they want us to start asking questions. I had my daughter at her doctor's appointment today just for a sports physical. And before they could check us in, they asked if we had traveled to Western Africa or been around anyone that had Ebola. So I asked them, they were part of Novant. I said, when did you start asking these questions? And she said, yesterday. And they couldn't even check us in until they checked off those 2 boxes. So I think we're seeing it start now, questions like that, since I think they've had the patient at Duke that they're watching. So Davie County Schools will keep an eye on what's happening. If we make any changes, I'll come to you and let you know. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bacchino, for the update. It's good to know that you're staying in touch with the health department, the CDC, and keeping us up to date. Thank you so much for that. At this time, Ms. Noelle Grady-Smith will give us an update on the Davie experience.
Good evening, Chairman Fuller, board members, Dr. Hartness. I believe that you will recall that I presented about the Davie experience coming up and how many sessions we had. It was quite an exciting experience. Here you see, I can see it. I think the slides will come up in just a second. There you go. This is a couple of our STEM students presenting to the faculty that were attending the Davie experience. They were talking about the methodologies in STEM instruction and sharing some of those. We had things that addressed the life of teachers. So we did de-stress for your health. This was actually the second time Ms. Allen has conducted this with Sandra Lipscomb. It was so crowded and so anticipated that we couldn't get everybody in. So it was a very popular session and very in tune with the American Heart Association. This is a very typical quote. We did a survey and we just wanted to present you with some of these. This is my first Davie experience. I found it to be wonderful and looking forward to next year. And it's great when colleagues share ideas. That's something that teachers just don't have enough of. And so to create a full day where all they do is go from classroom to classroom, session to session, according to what they want. We also had several outside presenters. This is John Worf from the Google Education Training. And This was also a very popular session, as many of our teachers use this in the classroom now. Mark Sandberg from Google Tools was also there to present. And the actual motivation for this is that you learn it and you use it the next day. So we work very closely with technology to be sure that whatever we're offering is available and useful for the teachers. This is another shot of the Google session, rather intent faces there. Amy Blake Lewis is a DPI regional coordinator, and she was there to present on literacy. You are aware of the state's focus and intense interest in literacy. The actual process here involved the teachers coming up with ideas that then matched with standards. Another one that addresses the issues that you can face in a classroom. This was presented by Jessica Allen, daughter of Paula Allen, and they were addressing the soft skills, the actual ability for teachers to calm their classrooms. This was a breathing exercise. I think I should benefit from some of that. You can see the intensity with which the presenters and participants interacted. This is an exceptional children's session with remarkable ideas. We found a tremendous amount of framework to position our learning on. This is a iPad session, lots of enthusiasm. This was our Read to Achieve summer camp teachers demonstrating the arts integrated capacities for making reading fun. What they're doing there is called the brain dance, where you gradually connect the body into the learning patterns. We also had our officers there. They were very instructional in terms of what we may see every day but not realize the depth of what is happening. So they kind of peeled back the covers and showed us a lot of things to look for, a lot of things to be aware of, anywhere from a student who is displaying an abnormal behavior to a student who seems very agitated. So lots of good instructional purposes there. A lot of this had to do with substance abuse and how students are actually bringing that into the schools so that we are highly informed. There were some rather remarkable ways that we discovered this was happening. Very innovative people. I would like to commend both Officer Jacobs and Jones for the quality of their presentations. The drug awareness and gang activity awareness is very important for us to be very transparent about and to educate our teachers on. They're looking forward to seeing Detective Sluter again next year. This had to do with identity theft. So another way that we're helping teachers be more vigilant and proactive. And it also, I love this quote because it kind of encompasses everything. I like the sessions that offered a little bit for me personally, such as identity theft and healthy eating, combining that with sessions that included information I could take back to my classroom. I almost felt human. This is another teacher-led session. The teacher is demonstrating how to work in groups collaboratively. We had Paul Marshall, who was another NCDPI specialist. He's very, very good at helping us understand EVOS and its impact on the classroom and to make us aware of global awareness and how to bring Davie County is a small environment. We want to bring our children into the scope of the larger world at all times. This is a whole session on brain breaks. We found that it's extremely important to get our children up out of their chairs, moving. They're not necessarily a receptive audience unless they have the opportunity to exhale and move a little bit. And I think the teachers learn from that too, because after a day of sitting and not being in front of the class, they realize how important the movement breaks were. Cheryl Fuller is a state and national presenter, and she was here to teach us about engaging classroom strategies. Here you can see our school administrators collaborating. They went through several exercises that tested their ability to kind of look at a situation and then build some consensus around it. And we have great administrators, so they did a wonderful job. Just some of the expressions that we found through our survey. We find this to be so, so important for our teachers. We appreciate your supporting it. and we look to the teacher as the expert, and this is a confirmation of that. So I just wanted to make sure you were cued into all those good things that were happening.
Ms. Grady Smith, this
Yes.
provides an opportunity for our teachers to attend sessions like they would at a state or national conference. What was our budget for this project?
Well, I don't believe we spent anything out of the ordinary. We might have fed a lunch to the presenters.
Okay.
But it's all homegrown, it's all teacher-led, and even our presenters are here from DPI. And the people who came from Google were there in a in gratis kind of situation. So
Very good.
I think that says a lot about the relationships we build with those folks. So thank you.
Thank you for that. It's good to hear that teachers get to experience that training and camaraderie and collaborative nature of that day. That's good. At this time, I would ask Ms. Jenna Haynes to come up and talk to us about the STEM internship.
Chairman Fuller, board members, Dr. Hartness, staff, and guests. I would like to introduce Melanie Stansel. Melanie is a science teacher within the STEM Center at Davie High School, and she had an outstanding opportunity this past summer. Through our partnership with North Carolina New Schools, she was invited to be a part of an externship with WFIRM, which is Wake Forest Institute of Regenerative Medicine. That is such a mouthful, it's much easier to say WFIRM. So I'm going to ask her to come up and talk a little bit about her experience there.
Thank you, Jenna. I appreciate you giving me this opportunity to speak. I have to admit, I was very fortunate to be able to spend a couple of weeks this summer at Wake Forest Institute for Regenerative Medicine. It's something that's provided by North Carolina New Schools. Terry Howerton was also there. He is a teacher at Atkins High School in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. WFIRM was started by Anthony Atala, Dr. Atala, and built here and in Winston-Salem, and he's an international leader in regenerative medicine. If you are not aware, Dr. Atala was one of the first people to transplant a bladder into a patient that was grown in the lab from the patient's own cells. So this is an internationally known center of research that's just down the road from us. And so I had the opportunity to come into the school and at WFIRM and visit with the labs and see what's going on there. We were allowed unprecedented opportunities to speak to the researchers there to find out what is going on, what is happening as part of WFIRM. Some of the things that I saw, of course, was the cutting edge research, which was very exciting. I have to admit that I had a lot of fun. It was more like summer vacation than it was work. And I was able to take that back to the classroom. Another thing that I noticed that I was able to take back to the classroom is how important collaboration is. You can't go to a university and say, I want to get a degree in regenerative medicine. The people there come from a variety of backgrounds. There are medical doctors, there are surgeons, nurses, they are organic chemists, inorganic chemists, biologists, and they each have their own area of expertise, and in order to make this successful, all of these people have to collaborate and work together. And Dr. Atala has built this center that allows and encourages that kind of collaboration, which I was able to take back to the classroom. Another thing that I noticed was a huge dedication to outreach. Just the fact that they invited teachers to come in to WFIRM and allowed us to go into the lab to see what was going on was an indication of how much they want to open up and reach out to their community. Another thing that they do is while we were there, we were able to see 50 students that were anywhere from high school students all the way up to med students that spent their summer there at the school. And while we were there, the kids would tell us, well, we've been taught that the philosophy here is that you learn, you do, and then you teach. And I think that's a great thing to teach those kids and something that I can also take back into the classroom. While I was there, Terry Howerton and I prepared lesson plans on how to teach our students about regenerative medicine. They were so pleased with the work that they did that those lesson plans have now been placed on the Wake Forest Institute of Regenerative Medicine's website. And there's a thing there that says Davie County Schools, Davie County High School, as well as Atkins. So I think that that's a great thing. Then I was able to take this back to the classroom. And I use this in all of my levels, for my regular kids, my honors biology, as well as my STEM honors biology. And they were just as excited as I was. It was a great way to be able to start the school year, to get them revved up and excited about things that were going on in the real world. And because of the work that they do there and the things going on, it's very easy to connect it back to what I have to teach them as a biology teacher. And it was a great link and step to the beginning of the year. So I was very excited to be able to do that. And in the future, we're hoping to extend that collaboration and perhaps come up with some kind of summer school. Noelle and Jenda and I met with Joan Shank at W Firm. Joan is responsible for these externships and the outreach that they provide, in hopes of maybe working out some kind of summer program where our kids could pair up with one of these college students and see what's going on and say, maybe when I go to college, I can do the same thing. And it's just down the road. I just think that's a wonderful opportunity for us, and I hope that we'll be able to work something out.
Thank you. That's very exciting. I know Dr. Atala, I've heard about that program. They're doing some amazing things over there, and it's wonderful that you got to look into that and see that, and that's exciting. Very exciting. At this time, we're moving on to accountability, and Erin Foyle, I asked her to come up and talk to us about ACT and SAT results.
Good evening, Chairman Fuller, board members, community members, Dr. Hartness. It's a pleasure to be here tonight to talk to you a little bit about the ACT and the SAT results from 2013-14. Last year, our juniors they all have to take the ACT. So we'll talk about the ACT first. And the ACT is a test that has been incorporated into school accountability. And now that the school accountability looks at that, all of our juniors have to take it. So the ACT is a really good measure of college readiness for all of our high schools. So the information that we'll look at tonight is district level information. This is the third year that all of our juniors have had to take the ACT. It does contain 5 tests. That includes English, reading, math, science, and writing. One of the measures that the state looks at is a composite score. So it takes all of those 5 tests and puts that together into a composite score. We look at the composite score of a level of 17. That's the minimum admission requirement for the University of North Carolina system. 68.5% of our juniors in 13-14 did achieve a composite score of 17. That was a little bit up from the previous year. And that score is the second highest in PTEC. That's the Piedmont Triad Education Consortium that we're a part of, and the 16th highest out of the 115 LEAs in our state. Our average composite score for all of the tests was 19.2, down just a little bit from 19.3 in 2012-13, that should be. Every year's a little different. The classes that come through are a little different, and so to be that close is really not statistically significant. The 19.2 composite score is the 20th highest composite score out of 115 LEAs. Just to take a little bit of a closer look at the different scores, you can see that our math scores are our highest scoring out of the 4 different tests. We don't include the writing here because they score it in such a different manner, you can't really compare it with the others. But our math scores tend to be higher, and then your reading scores and your science scores are right there together, and then your English scores are a little bit lower. So that just gives you a good idea of how we compare on the different tests, and then how we've looked over the years. So you see 2011-12 all the way to 2013-14, and we're fairly flat in those 3 years that we've taken the ACT. Next, I'll move on to the SAT. The reports that SAT puts out is about our graduating seniors. So the 2013-14 results look at the seniors that graduated in the year 2014. The SAT is a voluntary college readiness assessment, so not every student will take it. So we look at the percentage of our students that took that test. In 2013-14, we have 51.8% of our graduating seniors that had taken the SAT. That's up slightly from 49.8% in 2012-13. The SAT does contain 3 sections: the critical reading, mathematics, and writing sections, all with a maximum point score of 800. Our average combined score was 1,501. It's down just a little bit from 1,538 for the seniors that graduated in 12-13. Again, every class that goes through is a little different, and the SAT is expected to fluctuate slightly from year to year. These results were the second highest in P-TECH and the 17th highest of 115 LEAs. So you can see we're fairly consistent as we look at the ACT and the SAT results. These are the SAT comparisons from year to year and in the different ones. Again, you can see that our mathematics scores are the highest, and then our reading and our writing below that. You also see the comparisons there from 2011-12 up to 2013-14. And again, we saw a little bit rise last year and a little bit down this year, and that's to be expected. Are there any questions about that information? Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I would just point out that I think it's significant, number one, we rank really high in the state. Number two, that when you look at SAT, you know, there's some colleges who don't even ask you to submit an SAT anymore, including Wake Forest. There is a certain percentage of our students who pay for that test. The state of North Carolina a few years ago decided that it would be good to use the ACT as part of our high school performance composite measure, or our high school accountability measure, and for every student to take it. So if you really want a gauge of the entire student population, every one of our 11th graders take the ACT. So when you look at that data, it's something to keep in mind. And our students have performed really well. I'm proud of them.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Aaron. That's, yeah, I'm with you on the ACT is a better gauge for, because we're getting a full, one full grade versus just a portion of the grade. At this time, we're moving on to the donations report by Ms. Meek.
Thank you, Chairman Fuller, members of the board, Dr. Hartness. I have one item to present to you for information this evening. It's the donations report, and you can see highlighted in yellow there the items that, the donations that we've received since our last board meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Meek. Anybody have any questions? Ms. Meek? Thank you. That concludes our committee and staff reports. And I'll ask at this time, just before we adjourn here, if any board members have any comments. If you don't, no problem. I just want to give, if anybody had anything, I want to give the board an opportunity. Well, at this time, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out tonight, and we appreciate everyone being here. We love to see a full room and people taking interest in what Davie County Schools is doing. And I'd like to congratulate everybody that was recognized and for all the hard work, and it's what makes Davie County special. At this time, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. Have a motion by Mr. Drexler. Do we have a second? We have a second by Ms. Livengood. All in favor? Motion carries 7-0. We are adjourned.